Travelers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emma and we're gonna officially start a TBR series here on my channel. I am not gonna take credit for it at all. Ooh, this is showing its real color. I'm not going to take credit for this game at all. I am jumping on the bandwagon that was started when Cody from Cody's Book Corner started her Wheel of TBR. I'm jumping on it. I'm going to be 100% honest about that. It's not my idea. It is 100% Cody's and I love it, which is why I'm doing it. But I'm excited. I actually did this for June and I just didn't like the way it turned out, and I was able to kind of work some things out. So I'm going to go over my personal rules for the Wheel of TBR. The first one is that I am not going to count my audiobooks into this. For some reason I don't like to mood read physical books, but I like to mood read audiobooks. I don't know why, I just do. So I'm not going to count an audiobook in. Maybe every once in a while I will do like the audio physical book thing that some people do, but even that I'm not a huge fan of. The second rule is that I'm always going to do 4 spins. I thought about doing a punishment, and I think what I'm going to do for a punishment is for every book that I do not at least start to read in the month, I will add a spin on up to like 4 missing books. So like if I don't read any books in the month, the next month I will spin 8. If I don't read 1, then I'll spin 5, 6, but I'm not gonna spin like, if I spin 6 times and I didn't read for the month, because I had 2 penalty ones, I'm not gonna spin 6 times, I'll spin 4 times. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it makes sense to me. This is gonna be a little bit of a disclaimer. I'm gonna do my spins now, but I'm gonna talk about the books probably on a different day, considering we're still in the middle of a pandemic, and for me to take books out of my library, I have to request a hold and then they process it. So I'm filming this on a Friday. I probably won't get my books till Monday or Tuesday. But I'm gonna edit it together to look like it's happening on the same day. So if the lighting changes or the makeup or my hair or anything like that changes, I'm gonna try to mimic it to best as possible for it to be like a more coherent look, because let's be honest, we'd all prefer that. So editing Emma here definitely meant cohesive look, not coherent look. It might just look different is all I'm trying to say. And I think I have all of that, everything that I wanted to say. So let's get spinning. I also have replacements for all of the circles that are on here. So when I spin it, I will take it off. Also, I'm going to end up holding this. I have kind of changed my filming setup just a little bit. And like if you guys have watched past videos, I have like that table that I normally was stacking books on. But that table is really like a catch-all in our house, and it's a pain in the butt to reorganize it every time I want to film. So I'm going to try to just sit in this chair and make this my main background. So I think I'm just going to hold this and I'll just put it in front of my face when I spin. But I will replace the circles as we go. So here is spin number 1. I also just realized that this means you guys get to see before I do. Ooh, an out of my comfort zone book. Okay. I have no idea what that's going to be yet, but I'm excited. For spin 1, I got out of comfort zone, and originally I wanted to do a Stephen King novel for out of comfort zone, but my library didn't have any in stock, so I ended up choosing instead to do Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This book has been on my TBR forever. It's a really popular series on BookTube, and it is a sci-fi series, which I think the only time I've ever read science fiction was for a physics class in college. We read something by like Michael Crichton, and I may have just clip noted it now that I think about it. But science has never been my strong suit, and I have no idea how I'm going to feel about it. I do know that it's told in like testimonies and like random documents and like cool pages like this, so it should be a somewhat fast read, I think. And I am very intrigued by it. I actually think it is going to end up being the first book that I do read in July. And if I like it, I will add the other 2 books in the trilogy to my TBR. Alright, so the replacement for Out of My Comfort Zone is the highest rated book on my TBR. The way I'm going to do this is I will start with my general TBR and I will look at what the highest rated for that is. I will look at like the top 3. If my library has any of those 3, I will put a hold in, and if they don't, I will look at my owned TBR and I will read the highest book on my own TBR. So here we go. Alright, number 2 is a random number. So just like my highest TBR, I will do it off of my full TBR, and I will look at 3 of them. If my library doesn't have any of those 3, I will then go through just my own physical TBR and I will do that. So spin 2 gave me a random number. I went on to Goodreads and I have like 300 and something books on my TBR, so I put those into a random generator and I got like 68. Yeah, 68, which was a book that was at my library, so I only had to do it once. And that book ended up being 99 Days by Katie Guno. I have no idea how to say her last name, so I'm really sorry. I don't even remember what this book's about. It's been on my TBR for years. So I'm just gonna read the summary to you guys, I guess. It says, Day 1, Julie Donnelly eggs my house, my first night back in Star Lake, and that's how I know everyone still remembers everything. How I destroyed my relationship with Patrick the night everything happened with his brother Gabe. How I wrecked their whole family. Now I'm serving my summer like a jail sentence. Just 99 days till I can leave for college and be done. Day 4. A nasty note on my windshield makes it clear Julia isn't finished. I'm expecting a fight when someone taps on my shoulder. But it's just Gabe, home from college and actually happy to see me. For what it's worth, Molly Barlow, he says, I'm really glad you're back. Gabe got me to come to this party. I'm actually having fun. I think he's about to kiss me, and that's when I see Patrick. My Patrick, who's supposed to be clear across the country. My Patrick, who's never going to forgive me. 87 days of summer to go, and history is repeating itself. The last thing I want to do is come between the Donnelly brothers again, but the truth is, Donnelly stole my heart a long time ago. So it sounds like it is a YA contemporary about a girl who's in love with both brothers. And I believe that there is now a sequel to this book. I am not 100% sure. I feel like it's like 101 or something like that. I can't remember. But it's an older contemporary. But I am very interested to read it and see what it's about and see how much like my tastes have changed since I had this in my TBR. Like before I discovered Goodreads, I used to go to like Barnes & Noble and take pictures and keep them in my camera roll on my phone. And I definitely think this book was like a camera roll picture. We'll take off that one. Okay, so the next one is a sequel that is pretty self-explanatory. It can be any sequel. It doesn't have to be like the second one. It can be any part of a series. So spin number 3. So spin number 3 brought me to a person of color author. I am going to change the circle, so instead of being POC, it will be BIPOC, but this one also is pretty self-explanatory as to what it means, and I got a good amount of books on my TBR that could qualify for. So the third spin brought me to POC, and after I did all of my spins, when I sat down to figure out my books, I actually did some research, and I realized that POC and BIPOC are not interchangeable terms, so I'm very sorry if I offended anyone. I've since learned that POC is basically anyone who's not white, while BIPOC is someone who is black or indigenous. So moving forward, I am going to keep my POC circle, and I'm also going to add a BIPOC circle in order to diversify my reading. But the book I ended up choosing was American Panda by Gloria Chow. This book I'm really excited about. So Gloria Chow, I was listening to, I believe it's called like 99 Cups or 99 Teacups. It's a writers podcast where someone interviews writers, and Gloria was in an episode before she even published her book. Like she had a publication date for this book, but it was for like amateur writers, like people who haven't made it professionally yet at that moment, and she was talking about this book, and it is about a girl. Actually, I'm just gonna read the back to you because I don't remember everything. I believe it is a YA, like one of those books that are between YA and new adult where it's kind of like a college age book. So I'm gonna read the back. I feel like that's the best way to get this information across to you guys. Because like I said, I listened to this podcast over a year ago, so I don't remember all the details, but I remember being very intrigued by this book. So it says, at 17, Mi-Lu should be in high school, but skipping 4th grade was part of her parents' master plan. Now a freshman at MIT, she's on track to fulfill the rest of this predetermined future. Become a doctor, marry a pre-approved Taiwanese Ivy Leaguer, and produce a litter of babies. With everything her parents have sacrificed to make her cushy life a reality, Mi must learn, Mi can't bring herself to tell the truth. That she 1, hates germs, 2, falls asleep in biology lectures, and 3, has a crush on her classmate Darren Takashi, who is decidedly not Taiwanese. I'm really sorry, I'm butchering words left and right. I'm gonna work on it. But when she reconnects with her brother Zing, who is estranged from the family for dating the wrong woman, Mi starts to wonder if all the secrets are truly worth it. Can she find a way to be herself, whoever that is, before the web of lies unravels? Yeah, so I'm really excited about this book. It sounds really good, and I also feel like, as somebody who works with children, which I do, reading a book about someone who is trying to balance the culture that they have at home with the American culture that they are thrown into every day at school, I think it's a really important thing to read, or not thing, that's not the right word. What is the right word? Like a really important concept to read about, because it's something that I may never really be able to understand, but it's going to help me empathize with students, and it's really important. And I'm really excited about this book. I have been interested in this book since I first heard about it. I added it to my TBR from a podcast before it really even had a publication date. I found it on a website that we are no longer talking about unless they make real changes, but I'm really excited. It just sounds really cute. So the next one that is replacing the POC, or the BIPOC, I guess would be the right way that it's going to be said, one is going to be a seasonal read. This basically just means that I need to read a book that takes place in the season we're in. So if I land on that for this last spin, I will read a book that takes place in the summer. All right, spin number 4, the final spin. A reread. And then the final spin brought me to a reread. I have 3 YA books that kind of were the books that ended up being chosen for the month, and I debated changing my reread because I was thinking that I had too much YA, but here's the thing. I was looking at my read list, and there is only one other book on my read list that I really want to reread, and it's a book that I don't own, which I could have gotten out of the library because when I originally read it, I got it from the library, but I really want to see if I can find it and own it. So I'm going to go with my original choice and just make it a month full of YA and choose Simon vs. the Homo Sapien Agenda by Becky Alberti. I read this 2 or 3 years ago. I believe it's the #1 book in the first year that I did my top books of the year, which I can't remember if that was 2017 or 2018, but I absolutely loved it. I watched Love, Victor when it came out last week on Hulu, and then it made me want to rewatch Love, Simon, so I did that, and now I want to reread the book that started it all. I loved this book so much. I tabbed it to every place that I thought I knew who Blue was, which I won't say now because I know there probably are people who still haven't read this book, so I don't want to give it away. But as I read it this time, I want to see, now that I know that I was right, how many more times I can find the hints about it. But this has to be one of my favorite, like this is up here as one of my favorite YA romances. It's up there with Lara Jean and Peter, who's another one of my favorites. Like, these are YA romances that have really stuck with me. And as much as I loved Love, Simon on Love, Victor on Hulu, I really, really would have loved a series with Blue and Simon in college because of how much I loved this couple. But I'm super excited. Unfortunately, I think it's gonna have to be the last, my phone's blowing up. It's gonna have to be the last book that I read in the month, just because I want to get through my library books and the other books that I haven't read. But I'm super excited. My battery is now blinking, so those are all the books I'm going to read. Oh wait, no, hold on. Oh my god. I'm also planning on participating in Becca's Bookopoly, and I'm going to read The Astonishing Color of After for that. Actually, I'm going to try to do at least one prompt, but I'm going to do an audiobook for that. My battery is blinking, which is why I'm talking so fast. Editing, I'm here again really quickly. So I talked about how I'm planning on doing Becca's Bookopoly, which if you guys don't know, she's doing a readathon on her channel based on her TBR game of Becca's Bookopoly. And basically she's rolled one so far, which is like a contemporary book with magical realism or something with magical realism. And I've heard that the book The Astonishing Color of After has a magical realism in it and is a book that I've wanted to read. So I am going to read it as an audiobook. I have a feeling that that is the only prompt that I'm going to take part in during Becca's Bookopoly, but I'm going to, and I will also link Becca's Bookopoly's announcement video down below, where it's mainly taking place on Twitter, and every 12 hours they are going to, or Becca and her, I think it might just be Becca. Becca's going to update her prompts every 12 hours, so you can add books to your TBR, but you can't really pre-plan them. I'll leave it linked down below because she does a better job of explaining it. But that is like probably the one and only time that I'm going to mention an audiobook in my TBR. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will make sure to leave Cody, who's the original idea of the Wheel of TBR, linked down below so you can check her out. Thank you so much. Bye. So after my, oops, can't read today.